Fellas, welcome back to the Ramblers channel. Once again, we are continuing another week of bickering and agreeing, both to ands and buts. But we are back into a normal sort of episode. Last week was a little more special because we wanted to celebrate a birthday episode for myself. But that's past. We are back to our normal situations. We are going to start with our usual sort of newer sections that we do, and then continuing on with the sort of second main section at the end, which is going to be our Star Wars film ranking. It's something that we've never done, surprisingly, but we are going to do it here. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got as far as the intro. Jay, how we doing, bro? It's been all right.
I'm doing great. I had like a top 5 day ever yesterday, so I'm doing pretty great.
Interesting.
I'm ready.
Yeah. So speaking of that, the first, of course, one of the first ones. We'll go ahead and do this one. The high and low of the week. What was your high of the week? You told me about this yesterday. But
yesterday, I bought it's my second car, but I bought my first car. It's nice. It's a Nissan Sentra, like 2013. It's pretty good, or 2017. It's a pretty good car,
Yeah.
pretty low mileage, great on gas.
Mhm.
But yeah, that'd be my high. I mean, more things happened yesterday than that, obviously, but that would be my high for the week. My low is probably that I'm actually doing work in school now, so that's not great. But it's not that bad. I had a good week. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My high was pretty much last weekend. Last time we recorded was on Sunday, and we are recording this the Saturday after. So I did have my birthday on Monday. To anybody that wished me the best, I appreciate you a lot. That applies to literally anyone, whether if I know you in real life or not. I've received plenty of both, so that's pretty good. And then the low is that I start senior year of college in 5 days, and that takes a lot of prep. I will say that takes a lot of prep, but I'm taking it slowly. That's all I can do. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all of our weeks have. That's pretty much what our weeks have been. Nothing too, or something pretty special. A couple of things special, and then not so much on the low side, but that's pretty all right. It's good that we can expect that. Okay. Let's get into some community comments. All three of these are sort of anonymous ones, but the first one I got was this past Wednesday. Moving straight into Star Wars discussion.
Mm-hmm.
If there was one character that you can make a spin-off show for, who would it be? I'll let you go first on this one.
Okay.
All
right. One character. I mean, a lot of the characters that I wanted to have shows, so it's kind of a hard question to answer. But if I had to pick one, I'm trying to think of what I'd really like to see. I know we kind of got a little bit of this in Tales of the Jedi, but maybe like, you know what I want to see? I want to see. I know he has a whole trilogy, but I want to see like a original trilogy centered show focused on Luke mainly, but like between episodes 4 and 5, maybe 5 and 6 too. But I want to. There's a lot of gaps in there that have been filled by comics, but I don't really care about the comics, so let's just fill it in a show. Add a lot of that missing context from the original trilogy. That's what I would pick.
Yeah. I've explained this before on a recording. It's a character that is very important that we know very little about. I think I want to see a Jango Fett origin story so bad.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Because he is one of the most important characters in the prequels, but yet he doesn't appear outside of Attack of the Clones. I think he's worth more than that. I think Lucasfilm also kind of did Tamora Morrison dirty by not continuing the Book of Boba Fett. Of course, that actually has its reasons, but I think if he comes back as a character that I definitely do believe needs to be fleshed out a little more. Boba Fett obviously did too, but Mandalorian also helped with that. Helped boost his his PR, I assume. But Jango Fett, we literally don't know anything besides, there's of course other games in the past that are legends now, but we literally don't know like a bunch. And we know he's from Concord Dawn. We know he's from Mandalorian and Clan now as the Mandalorian season 2 confirmed. But that's pretty much it. I kind of want to see more of that. I think that would be sick. I think it would be. I don't know. It would. Cool. I don't know if it would be a high performing Star Wars show, but I think it would perform well. Yeah. Okay. Next community note. Oh god, I'm not ready to read this.
Oh, is this the one you're telling me about? Oh god.
This is a direct message to me.
Okay.
Hi, Cayman. I'm glad you are back into the content space. I really do think you are built for it. You've had a lot of glow-ups over the past couple years. You've progressed a lot in your collegiate career, made a big name for yourself in the world of martial arts, and are still painfully average at gaming. Dang, what a stray. However, I still can't help but notice that despite all of that, you still manage to be 5'9". To me, that is what brings you down a peg. I believe that if you were a few inches taller, your life would be the same, except you would be better organized, have higher social status, and would be a more prominent figure in every way of life. But that's it. Otherwise, you were a great man. Hope to see you again soon. That's the craziest message I've ever read in my life. That's the craziest thing I've ever read. I've caught a lot of strays personally from people that I'm close with and people that I'm not. That this is just completely out of hand. Like he said, this dude said you would be the same if you were taller, except everything would be different. You would be better organized, have higher social status, and you would be a more prominent figure in every part of your life. What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Man, if you were 6 foot, that would change lives, man.
Change whose lives?
I mean, you can only be so good without being 6 foot. It's just, yeah.
Dang, my own co-host is giving me shots in the back.
Like, I'm not 6 foot either, at least, but I'm not 5'9", so I think I'm safe. I'm safer.
Bro, oh my god, what do you mean? That is insane.
That's crazy.
Okay, this one is also a message to me. Cal, you have often expressed about your happiness for the OKC Thunder winning this year's championship. But what is the most heartbreaking Thunder playoff loss you experienced? Last year against Dallas was rough. That was a little heartbreaking for me, specifically because when we had the chance to go up 3-2, we ended up blowing like a 25-point lead or something like that on our home floor. That was a rough one. But to me, nothing will ever beat 2016 when we blew down 3-1, and then Kevin Durant left our team. The infamous Kevin Durant leaving for Golden State. Everybody knows about that. That was rough. If you were old enough to be able to see that, which I hope most of you guys were, that was a rough time for us. But then some other ones that are notable: 2019 against Portland when we just lost to a game-winning like half quarter. That was not great. There was a lot of heartbreaking losses that ended up with stars leaving our team, but ultimately ended for the better. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I cannot believe I got asked both those questions, but anyway, I'm beginning to think that I have no fans. But that's okay. We'll move on with life. All right, well, that's it for our community notes. We only had 3 this week that I was able to gather. So we are going to move on to agree, disagree. I believe I have 6. I believe, Jay, you have 4 or 5?
4, yeah.
You have 4. Okay, so I'll go and go first. I'll go in some, I think some that are pretty simple, and then others that a little more complex, maybe, depending on what you think about it. These include, most of these are Star Wars, but this also includes one that's sort of hybrid, and then there's one that's just sort of general. So my first one: The Mandalorian and Grogu will gross $1 billion globally across theaters. All right, let me get mine. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Agree. So the reason being is because there's only one Star Wars movie that did not gross over $1 billion, which is actually Solo. It grossed I believe less than 400 million, which was, but the reason why is because it was, I believe, 6 months or maybe like 5 months after The Last Jedi released, and and also the marketing for that film was so bad. I actually kind of looked into that. It was not great. Not a lot of people knew about it, and not a lot of people care to see it because it's a spinoff. It's not a main story one. Mandalorian and Grogu are the two most popular characters that I think Disney have ever created. So I do believe that's going to be the standard of that. Obviously, the show has not aired for over 2 years, but whenever season one came out, that was the biggest show in the world, like by far. No other Star Wars show has had that much polarization that Mandalorian had. So that's why I'm gonna go with that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. Star Wars films don't flop unless you're Solo, but Star Wars films don't flop. Solo was just in like the worst possible release window for Star Wars ever. And yeah, like you said, these are the most popular Disney Star Wars characters. It's such a beloved show, beloved characters. I mean, everyone and their grandma is going to be going to see this movie. Even if it's horrible, there's no way it's not going to break $1 billion. Well, yeah, I think it will. There's a very, very high chance it breaks $1 billion.
Yeah. Okay, what do you got?
All right. Let me pull it up. The Star Wars original trilogy is the best trilogy ever. Best movie trilogy ever. All right. 3, 2, 1.
I'm gonna say agree. There are some contenders for me. The Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy is very, very good. But I do think The Dark Knight Rises just does not compare to the other two. Yeah. Of course, we're waiting on the third edition of Spider-Verse. I think honestly that might overtake it when it comes out.
Yeah.
Of course, the other ones, I really love Captain America. That's probably another contender. I really love. I'm not that big of a fan of the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, but I do really like the second one. I really like that one a lot. But Spider-Man 3 is one of my least favorite superhero movies ever, so that kind of is what drags it down. But you said disagree. I want to know your opinion.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely in the top 3. It's my second favorite. But I think, well, actually, no, it's probably my favorite trilogy. But the greatest movie trilogy of all time, in my opinion, is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's so masterful. The cinematography is perfect. The costume design perfect. Set design.
Yeah, no, that's not bad.
It is just a phenomenal trilogy. I mean, you could watch a regular or extended edition, but no matter which way you watch it, it is just a masterpiece. I can't believe it even got made. It's just so good. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and disagree. It's been so long since I've seen it, because I haven't seen it since like a year after it aired in theaters. But yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and disagree when I simply don't remember it too well.
You should watch
so,
it.
Yeah. Okay. Next one for me. Andor Season 1 is and always will be the best season of a Star Wars show we will ever have.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Bam.
3.
So not a very long time ago, one of our more recent episodes is when we ranked every season of every Star Wars show. Andor Season 1 was in my top 5. I don't believe it was number 1. I do believe it is number 1 now because I've watched it twice. I've watched it twice over since then. I do believe it genuinely just gets better every time you watch it. And I've watched it 5 times through. So it's to the point where because it is such a deep show that every time you go through it, you pick up on small bits and details that you didn't think of before, and it just connects so well to the main core that you already knew.
Yeah.
We know the main reason why I say it always will be is because Tony Gilroy is not coming back to Star Wars. We know this. We're going to be. People have used this show as an excuse to turn on Dave Filoni, which I think is kind of crazy. I'll say. I think it's kind of crazy that the switch up just happened. But I do think it's going to be a wake up call, which is something, which is another thing that I'm going to talk about in this section. But as far as anything we know in the future, I don't think anything's going to eclipse it for me.
Yeah, it's just so masterful. I kind of doubted that Star Wars was even capable of it, apart from this. I doubt if Star Wars is capable of making something like this. All the things you said about the show are true. I have only seen season 1 2 times, but it is quite literally perfect. As perfect as a season of Star Wars television can get. And it's just unrealistic to say that there will ever be anything better. I mean, obviously it's subjective, but in my opinion, I just think it's the chances of someone else coming in and making something even better is like really low when this is basically perfect. So that's just my opinion. But there are contenders. I mean, Mando season 1 is amazing as well. There are some other seasons that I think are good, but nothing really adds up and will ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Like as far as contenders, season 1 is great. I still love Mandalorian season 2 to this day. I still think it holds up extremely well.
1, 2, and then season 2 of Andor as well is also amazing.
Andor season 2, it's I think Andor season 2 is a 9 out of 10, even though I think Andor season 1 is a 10 out of 10. I think it's just that season can be seen as more choppy compared to the first season. Well, when that season's more fluent, which is why I say that. But yeah, that's pretty much my basis.
Yeah. Okay, my next one. The quantity of Star Wars movies and shows have ruined the Star Wars magic. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
I'm gonna say disagree on this one.
Okay, let's
hear it. And the reason why I say disagree, it's not because of the quantity. I'm just having a huge problem on having so many different people make so many things, which can coincide with it. Because you have different people making different things, that means you make things at a faster quantity. But it gets to a point where you had Robert Rodriguez make Book of Boba Fett that did not perform well. You had Deborah Chow making Obi-Wan Kenobi that did not do too well. The viewership was extremely high, but the reviews were not great. And then, of course, you had Leslie Handlin making The Acolyte, which to me is the worst Star Wars show they've ever made. So I don't think it is a good idea for the future to have so many different producers make so many different projects, which is something that they're thinking of doing for movies. Take that what you will, but it is starting with Filoni and Favreau making Mandalorian, so we'll see how that goes, and then we'll go on. Of course, we have Starfighter planned for the next year after that. But as far as the magic of Star Wars, to me, I've always thought of it as the core, which is the original 6. Of course, the original 3 are my favorite things ever. And everything in that era I really like. I really like Andor. I really like Rogue One. I really like Mandalorian. But outside of that, all of the extra stuff, even though it cannot be great, that is not what I think of in terms of the core of the story, which is why I don't think it's ruined for me.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But personally, for me, I just look at the general feeling that Star Wars has, and especially when you look back in the past, maybe 2015 or 1998, 1999. And, of course there's hype and all that stuff. But even when the movies came out, even if they weren't people's favorite movies, they weren't like fatigued from it. I feel like now, with so much stuff coming out, it's like Star Wars is a skippable franchise. Like Star Wars is almost turning into Marvel at this point. And like before, when a new Star Wars movie came out, or a new, I mean, I maybe show, but there weren't very many shows. When a new Star Wars movie came out, everybody was going to see that movie. You know, everybody knew Star Wars. Everybody watched Star Wars. Now, I think even it going into the future with more Star Wars movies, I don't think it's going to be the same ever since Disney Plus. I don't think there's going to be um, just as much um, just as much interaction with the products. And it's still there's still going to be massive hits, especially the movies. Going to be massive hits. They're going to be $1 billion blockbusters. But I just don't think it'll ever be the same with sort of how Disney Plus has went. Is it necessarily a bad thing? Not really, but it's the magic is definitely different for me, at least. So that's how I think.
You don't think that applies to everybody, though, right? Because not everybody's going to be on Disney Plus. So we haven't had a movie since 2019. So it's just like, it
Well,
doesn't apply to everyone. Is what I'm saying.
yeah,
But I get your point.
guess, but just general pop culture hubbub is going to be, different around it.
Okay, sure. You know what? I hate to ask this question now because it's very similar to what you asked, but Andor Season 2 was a wake-up call for Lucasfilm, where they will now take projects at a slower rate and make better quality content.
Huh.
3, 2, 1.
Disagree, I guess.
Disagree. Yeah. You want to know why? Because we have like 7 movies planned. What's going to happen?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I was thinking too, but it's also like I don't really know like what their next step is. I mean, I know they're making all these more projects, but
because we're getting 2 projects next year, which are Mandalorian and Grogu and Maul Shadow Lord. And then the year after that, we're getting Starfighter. We're getting I'm just gonna say it. The Rian Johnson trilogy is never gonna happen. I don't care how much news we're getting of that. It's never going to happen. The Taika Waititi movie, whatever that is, it's not happening. The only films that I believe are genuinely going to happen is Mandalorian and Grogu because it's already in production. And then I have hopes for Starfighter happening because the cast is going to be really good. But that's pretty much it. The Rey trilogy, I think, is going to happen at some point because Daisy Ridley's already committed to it. The James Mangold sort of like origin of the Force, like it's to the point where like I want things to be a mystery, and some stories I don't care to be told. That one is just one of them. Like a lot of people really do like it. I don't, it's kind of like let it be a mystery. World Between Worlds is a mystery. Let the Force be a mystery too. But it's just to the point where they are saying they're going to make a lot of stuff, but like, is everything gonna happen? I don't really think so. I think they're just going to make the stuff that are financially fit and that people want, and that's it. Which right now, that's not a lot of things. So,
yeah, I mean, for me, I just think it's way, 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 way too early to see if they are going to do some sort of backpedal on this. Like if Andor season 2 came out in April, May time, and they decided in like June that they kind of wanted to do a pivot, it would take us years to see that sort of progress because of how deep they are in all these other projects. So I just don't think that question is really, I don't think you really can agree to that yet without the context of the future.
Yeah, it's a strange question to answer, but yeah. Okay. What's your next one?
Okay. This one is a rivals question. EOMM, or an equivalent matchmaking system, is real and implemented in Marvel Rivals. Okay, do you have your answer?
Okay. Well, you're just trying to get me canceled at this point if I disagree. Politics, boys, politics. You know what? I'm just gonna do it. All right, 3, 2, 1, bam.
Oh, he disagrees.
You wanna know why? Because
I want to know why.
there are many. You can call it engagement optimized, but also there are genuinely just people that there are genuinely just so many players in this game that are bone knuckleheads and just try to get
Yeah.
whatever they want, and if they don't, they just throw. That's the reality. Whenever they talk about this system, they talk about the AI of it. They never talk about the human aspect of it. Uh, and people get to the point. I don't know exactly what it is. They call it skill based matchmaking simply because, in competitive it's the same rank, but like whatever you want to say with that, that's cool. But I do think that it's also something that is also affecting it is that a lot of players now do not. There are players that are always playing, players that are playing every day pretty much, and players that are playing like maybe once or twice a week. That's also affecting it. I think it sort of can be engagement in that phase, but in terms of a full on optimization matchmaking, I'm not gonna say it doesn't exist, but I'm not completely convinced. Is what I'll say.
Yeah, you know what I will say about that is I have sort of noticed a shift in the last few sessions I've played where I can't tell if this is just like the Mandela effect or something, but my matches have been a lot closer. Like we played last night and almost every single one of our matches was really close. But I feel that generally it's like usually one side just completely dominates the other side. And I feel that maybe it's because I have never played another hero shooter, so I'm not really adept to what the matchmaking would normally look like in that. But it doesn't feel like a normal skill based matchmaking system. So I just feel a little bit sus. And the fact that they've addressed it and said it doesn't exist and they're going to make some sort of video to the community about it sort of makes me fishy as to what they're really cooking up with that. I'm not really sure. I'm not convinced that it's not there. Maybe
Yeah.
it's not. I can't say for certain, but there's definitely something fishy going on in my opinion. That's
What
kind of
I
what I'm
what
getting.
what I am trying to say is that there are so many constant variables that people do not account, and they
Of
just kind of
course.
blame. They just kind of blame the system whenever they
Yeah,
have a
just put
bad
it on.
teammate.
It's elo
That's what
hell. It's elo hell.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4. Darth Maul is the most overrated lightsaber duelist of all time.
Okay.
All right, 3, 2, 1, bam,
Oh, there.
bam. So the reason why I say this, there are so many people that I've seen that say he's better than Dooku. Are you okay, bro?
Yeah, that's
Like
crazy.
genuinely, are you okay? Like my boy lost a 2v1 with Savage against Obi-Wan in season 5, I think it was. He lost to Padawan Ahsoka, who hasn't touched a lightsaber in months. He he lost to Padawan Obi-Wan in Phantom Menace. He got cooked by Old Ben in 3 moves in Rebels. It's
Yeah.
kind of he could be good, but he beat Qui-Gon, but that's his only like good feat. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, what I don't think I agree as hard as you do, but I definitely see a lot of people that glaze the hell out of him. And he used to be in my top 3 characters when I was younger. But I don't think he's the greatest duelist. I mean, the thing that the creators of these animated shows love to do, they put him in these situations where they're like, "Oh, he's gonna win," and then he just gets beaten at the end, and it's like, what? So what do you want us to think? Like with that Maul Savage where they're fighting Obi-Wan, they're like assaulting him in the season before in the 1v2, and then all of a sudden they're just getting their legs broken and arms chopped off by Obi-Wan.
Yep,
It
yep.
doesn't make any sense, but that's the inconsistency of earlier Clone Wars. He gets beat by
Mm.
Obi-Wan with Savage. um I technically think that he beat Ahsoka in that duel because he did disarm her. He could have just killed her, but he didn't. But he's certainly not the greatest. I mean, Dooku's better than him. Vader's better than him. Anakin, Obi-Wan, like any of those other like high tier duelists are above him. And he's not beating any of those guys. He's not beating Dooku, Palpatine, Vader, Obi-Wan, Anakin. I don't even think he doesn't beat Ahsoka past Clone Wars. I mean, he didn't even beat her in Clone Wars. He beats Grievous in my opinion, but other than that, yeah, not the greatest duelist.
I do
Still very good.
Maul did beat Grievous in Son of Dathomir. If I'm respectfully, yeah.
But also Dooku, he beat Dooku as well in that comic, but Dooku wanted to get captured, so it's kind of like you can't really count that.
Yeah.
So it's a questionable feat for sure. Okay.
By the way, people that think I'm talking about Battlefront 2, my point still stands, my brother. Anyway.
Okay, he's the worst. Actually, yeah, he's the worst duelist in Battlefront 2 for sure. I mean, you could debate. You could say he's better than Yoda, but that's really just up to opinion. It can go either way. Okay, my last one. This is one that I'm not like. I wouldn't say I'm super one-sided on. Like this could kind of go either way for me. But my final one is Star Wars should continue to use deep fakes to recast instead of recasting old characters. Okay, you ready?
3, 2, 1. Get rid of it, please. I'm kind of sick of it at this point. They did better in Book of Boba Fett with Luke, in my opinion, but if you're talking about strictly AI voices, like in Obi-Wan Kenobi, you can do that just fine. I don't care about it too much. But if we're talking about deepfake images, that's where it's just like, I mean, they could get better. They can give it one more shot, and then I could be convinced that it works. But that's kind of it. If you fail again, it's just like, I don't want you doing it anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, for me, I think the only reason why I teeter on the edge is because Luke looked so damn good in Book of Boba Fett, but he sounded awful. But he sounded good in Mando and looked awful in Mando. So that's kind of weird. But I think they really should ditch the act of trying to make it look perfectly deepfake and just recast these dudes and start making projects with these characters. You know, there are so many actors out there that could get a shot at becoming big by playing these characters that could definitely do it. And I just think it's definitely a waste of Lucasfilm's money because I know it's so expensive to every minute that deep fake Luke is on the screen is like $1 million. So I think it's time that we can finally like move on from having to make them look perfect like they did and just suspend our disbelief a little bit, and we can actually tell like quality stories if we just recast the characters. That's my opinion.
So I got 2 more. These are sort of more fun ones. Okay, next up, number 5. The average person from Oklahoma would not be able to afford a single item in Luthen's gallery. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Bam. Yeah, this state needs to get its money up. I'm not gonna lie.
You guys, yeah, you can't afford a studio apartment in San Francisco for most of you guys from Oklahoma. So
yeah, you can't either. So
yeah, I never said I could, but you guys got like 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom houses for like $300 out there. I don't even know. I'm guessing, but
how much in USD do you think the average piece costs? Like say like the Keldor mask, the Plo Koon mask. How much do you think that is?
Probably like 250,000. Or no, it could be more.
Okay,
more like
no. Okay, no. 250K is diabolical. Like,
I mean, it's like you gotta like. It's a luxury shop on a top level of Coruscant. Like only like trillionaires live there. I don't know. What do you think? What's your number?
Well, if trillionaires live there, then nobody in the world can afford anything in that
Yeah.
shop. So let's be realistic here. I would say like the average piece maybe like 15K, maybe
Okay.
around then. And if that's the
Sure.
case, then definitely not. If it was like 4 or 5K, then some people would be able to afford stuff. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's right. That's
Sure.
all. And then lastly, pickleball is the best casual sport.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Bam. Oh gosh. Okay, what's the suit gonna try to
Pool.
tell me?
Pool.
Pool. You can play pool at 400 pounds. Pool is not a sport; it's a game.
Okay. So sport. I would.
I'm talking maybe golf, like sports that many can play but still
Physical
require.
activity. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I guess.
like you can give
Yeah,
me
I guess
table
so.
tennis, you can give me golf, you can give me pickleball.
I guess I do agree. 'Cause I think it takes pickleball over tennis, like just a little bit. Because tennis, I don't know. I'm more of a fan of the smaller type of court. So I guess I agree. Then I guess I agree. If that's
It's
what I'm
definitely more
saying.
casual. I would
Yeah.
say tennis is more of a professional sport to me.
Yeah, but I mean, plenty of people, play recreationally.
Yeah,
But yeah, I guess I agree.
yeah, they pay $150 for a racket. Yeah, that's pretty much
For
it.
real.
Okay, now we are going to move on to the mini games. What I have for you is I have an Andor quote mini game. I'm
Okay.
going to read you an Andor quote. I'm going to say who it's from, and you have to tell me the episode that the quote is from.
Okay.
Okay. And you cannot say until I'm done. So,
Okay.
all right. Luthen Rail. These days will end, Cassian Andor. The way they laugh, the way they push through a crowd, the sound of that voice telling you to stop, to go, to move, telling you to die.
Um, he, he talks to Cassian only a couple times in the first season, and he doesn't talk to Cassian very much in the second season either. I mean, they definitely communicate with each other, but actual like scenes right now, I haven't watched season one enough. I think it's either season one, episode 3. It could also be one of the episodes from the second arc of season 2. It could be season 1, episode 4, maybe.
You one of those is correct. So just
Okay, I don't think it's episode 4. I mean, could be. Um, I think it's more likely that it's episode 3 or probably what that second arc is a blur to me. It's all set up. Um, I think I'm gonna go with season 1, episode 3.
you would be correct. One of the best
Yes.
instances of dialogue in that show for sure. You've got the money, I got the box. What else is there to talk about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. They know they watch me, and I know that because as long as everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing. By Mon Mothma.
I know this quote. I've heard this quote.
This quote is
God,
from
I
the
don't.
trail. This quote is from the trailer, the official trailer too, which is why it's so recognizable.
Yeah, God, I couldn't. I don't know if I could tell you the episode. I'm probably gonna get this one wrong. Um, I don't believe it's season 2. I'm pretty sure it's when she's trying to negotiate with forgetting his name, the guy whose son married Lita. Um,
This is not from a very memorable episode, I will say.
is it? This is kind of a shot in the dark here. Sweet. One. I'm trying to count the episodes. 3, 3, and then a break. 7, 8, 9. Wait, one way out episode 9 or 10?
10.
10. Okay. I'm gonna go season 1, episode 9. It's my guess. Random guess.
That is incorrect. It is earlier.
Okay. And you say it's sort of in a less memorable episode.
Yes, for sure.
Can I take? Right now, my contenders: episode 5 and episode 8 are my 2 contenders. I'm gonna say episode 5.
Neither of those are correct.
We're gonna be here for a while.
Well, you're kind of in a sandwich, if you get what that means.
Okay. That's not 6. I mean,
you're guessing around it. You're guessing around it, but you're not on it.
So is it? So it's episode 7 then.
It is season 1, episode 7 announcement. Yes.
Announcement.
Okay. Next one. I think you'll get this one pretty quickly. The distance between what is said and what is known to be true has become an abyss.
Yeah, that's season 2, episode 9.
Welcome to the rebellion. That is right.
Yes, very good.
Okay. Next one. We got 2 more. Think about a planet Gorman, a planet of wealth and status, Luthen, Cassian. And if it goes up in flames, Luthen, it will burn very brightly.
Season 2. It's the second arc.
That is correct.
And it is episode 5.
Not 5.
4?
Not 4.
Okay, it's 6. Okay.
It's 6, yeah.
Dang.
I remembered this quote. What's funny about that is that I wanted to use this quote, but I didn't know which episode it was from. I searched through 4 and 5, but then it was on 6.
Yeah, I knew it was that arc. I thought it was earlier. Yeah. Dang.
It was when he came off the planet. That's when it was. So yeah.
Okay.
All right. Next one. This is by far the most difficult one. Cyril Karn. There's a future here for those who dare.
Yeah, bro. It in theory could be both seasons, but that's kind of sounds like a season 2 type of thing.
What's one of like the least memorable episodes of the show?
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with this. It's arc 1 in the apartment. Maybe.
It is arc 1 of which season though?
I think it's season 2.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's when his mother visits. It's a great chunk of time we spent there.
Not quite. It's not quite there.
Well, yeah, but the general time.
It is that, but it's not that setting.
I'm gonna say episode 1.
Not quite. What's the next one?
There's 2.
Season 2, episode 2 is when it's when he's talking. It's when he's talking to his intern at the Bureau of Standards. That's where the scene's from.
Episode 1. Because that was the scene I was thinking of, but I thought it was in 1. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna add more to the quote, but he's just saying like a bunch of nonsense in the scene, so I'm just like,
For sure.
Okay. What do you got for me?
Okay. So next we are going to do a Star Wars over-under with like factual information.
Oh god, bro's got me gambling. Oh no.
Okay. Lock in. Number 1. Over under 30 times that Finn yells Rey in the sequel trilogy. Or says Rey.
There's no way this is over, dude. There's no way.
Says Rey, yeah.
Okay, says Rey.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. It's got to be over then, right? Because if
It
it's
is
yells,
over.
then there's no way. Yeah, okay.
Yells was like 8, which is still crazy, but it's like 42. Okay. Over under 30 planets showcased in the 9 Skywalker Saga films.
So Phantom Menace has 2, I think. No, 3. Phantom Menace has 3. Attack of the Clones, not counting Coruscant or Tatooine, has 2. Or Naboo, actually, has 2. So that's 5. Revenge of the Sith has Utapau, Mustafar. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
Think of Order 66 scenes too. There are a lot of planets in Revenge of the Sith.
Felucia, Megiddo.
Over under 30.
Whatever planet Plo Koon dies on, I don't remember what that planet. I don't even think I know what that planet's name is. But that's a planet, so 8. So, see, when you asked me this question, I was automatically thinking of Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, but obviously there's more.
It's the number of planets that are in that game as well, I'm pretty sure. Oh, wait, no, it's not.
Yeah, I was like,
there's very close.
If you're making me count Felucia and Megiddo, then there's no way, right? So
yeah, it's very close to the number. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say 8. A New Hope literally only has Yavin outside of Tatooine, so that's 9. Unless you're not counting the Death Star, no way.
No.
And then Empire has Hoth and Bespin and Dagobah, so that's 12. Return of the Jedi has Endor, and that's it outside of Dagobah and Tatooine. So that's I'll say 13. Force Awakens. We're only counting 9 Skywalker Saga. We're only counting Skywalker Saga. 9. We're not counting Rogue One or Solo, because if you're counting that, I wouldn't be able to get it. Jakku, Takadana, Starkiller Base is a planet, so that's how much is that? Like 15, maybe. Last Jedi has Canto Bight, Crate, and Octo, so that's 18. Rise of Skywalker has Kijimi, Pasana, the Jungle Planet, the Resistance Camp, Asian Kloss, Exegol. So you said over under 30, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say under.
Okay. Believe it or not, it's over. There are 32 planets.
32. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's a lot. What are some that I didn't name? Do you know them?
I don't have them on. I can look at them. I could tell you in a second. But I'd have to find the list that I found on Google again. And that's not counting repeats. Okay. Over under 34 main story bosses in both Jedi games. Not including side bosses, but they are including the ones that turn into regular enemies later on. So just kind of guesstimate this. 34.
34. Okay. So Jedi Fallen Order, we got Second Sister, we got Ninth Sister, we got KX Droid is a boss on Kashyyyk. We're not counting any of the Flora bosses because those are sod bosses. Terran Malicos, that's 5. I guess they would count Vader as a well, Vader's in Survivor, so that's definitely a boss. That's like 6. There's Rick the Door Technician, shout out. Ravis, Dagangara. Are you counting are we counting different phases of boss fights?
No.
Okay. Then it's under 34. There's no way.
It is under 34. It is 30, but it is under 34. I don't know how it's 30, but it is. Even I don't know. Okay. Cool. We got 3 more here. These ones should be faster than the first 3. The number, this one's kind of a troll one. What's the number over under what did I put? Over under 13 pod racers at the Boonta Eve Classic in Phantom Menace.
All right, Cal. Think of Lego
Just
Star Wars the
eyeball it.
complete. Think of Lego Star Wars the complete saga. How many
I don't
places
think
were
that
there?
has an accurate count.
Damn it.
It's more than that. It's more than what's in the complete saga, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you're just kind of trolling me. I'm gonna say over. I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, it's over. I love to see that.
Let me guess. It's 14.
It's 18. 18. Somehow.
Okay, my bad.
Don't know
my
how.
bad.
I don't remember seeing 18. I got to rewatch that movie. I don't really want to because not great. Okay. Over under 6 million languages that C3PO is fluent in.
Oh, over. That's
Yes.
literally his. That's literally his
Yes.
dialogue.
Yes, that's his dialogue.
It's literally his
Okay.
quote. I'm
And
fluent in
finally-
over 6 million forms of communication.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I put that. I was hoping you'd get that. The final one. Over under, not counting today. Over under 20 podcast episodes on Ramblers Radio.
You're tricking me. This is exactly. Is this exactly 20 episodes? I know this is 19 or 20. Well, you're not counting exactly. So if you're gonna say exactly, then we might not be doing this podcast together.
I counted every episode besides this one. Like we're recording now. This one doesn't count.
Yeah. This is episode 20. I'm not gonna look because that's cheating. But I've stopped counting episode numbers. That's what's throwing me off. I just don't put them in the title anymore. This is episode 20. This is exactly 20. Because the Hot Takes episode was the last one we did a year ago, and that was episode 17.
Okay. So not counting this one, 19? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, okay, so under.
Yeah, that is correct. It is under 19.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
sick.
my game. Done.
Nice. Okay. Now we're going to get through this sort of main segment. We've done all of our mini segments. Now we're going to go through our main one. We are going through and discussing our ranking of all 11 Star Wars films. Just know I am not counting the Clone Wars movie because literally almost nobody has watched it unless you are a peak Star Wars fan that has literally watched everything. If you have, good. I've seen it. It's not very great. It would probably be like last or maybe, well, it probably wouldn't be last. It'd probably be like 9 or 10. So I didn't include it. I'm just including the main 11 live action because when I think of Clone Wars, I don't think of that film. And nobody does think of that film. They think of the show. So that's why. Okay. So we could probably start at our bottom and just discuss back and forth instead of going constant monologues. We're not Andor. We're not Tony Gilroy. We're not on that level. So all right, so at 11, I have The Rise of Skywalker. Your 11 is...
The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. There, the main problem with this film is just I don't see the vision of what they tried to do. That's essentially what it is. There are just many moments that don't make sense. I don't think this movie is like quite a 0 out of 10. There are a couple sequences that I do like. For example, very beginning of the film, I like the sequences between Leia and Rhea. Ooh, I said Leia and Rhea. I like this. I like the moments between Rey and Leia. I think they're very heartfelt. I'm a sucker for like heartfelt moments in Star Wars, so that's why I kind of like it. And then, even though this moment has been criticized in the past, I do like Han Solo's scene of him being just a dream in Kylo's head. Of course, Han Solo's not a Force ghost. Nobody should assume that. They've even debunked that is the case. It's just that for Han to be the one that brings Ben to the light side again, because because the climax of the Force Awakens is when Kylo kills Han, and then for it to be, sort of the reverse after hearing Leia die, I think that's good. But then, of course, this film showcases the dumbest scene in Star Wars, which is where Rey uses the dagger to find out where the Sith Wayfinder is in Palpatine's throne room.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that scene makes sense. I don't know why they did that. I've seen that scene on TikTok with the 500 cigarette sound. I think that's hilarious. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
But then outside of that, going like the Palpatine, they had to specify that Palpatine was a clone of himself, which obviously I kind of inferred, but not everybody's gonna infer that, so it's just kind of just that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows that this movie just kind of sucks. There aren't really a lot of redeeming qualities. I do like the Han scene. It's stupid as it is, and as much sense that it does not make, it's good. And yeah, I mean, there's no my main thing about this movie is there are no character arcs at all. Besides Rey talking to Luke, and Luke's he just kind of retcons The Last Jedi in a monologue. And other than that, there's no character development. I guess Poe becomes a leader because Lando told him to. And other than that, yeah, this movie is not the greatest. I like how they included Leia. I will give them that.
I will also include this. I do love Luke Skywalker in this movie. I think he's done really well, and you can tell that J.J. Abrams did want him to be alive. I've said this before. The big problem of the sequels, this is not just an opinion, this is just a factual problem, is that they decided to use two directors who had very opposite visions. That's what it is. You can tell that Rian Johnson did not like what happened in The Force Awakens. He just used everything in his own image. And then, because you can just they feel like such different films. Rise of Skywalker feels similar to Force Awakens, even though I like Force Awakens just makes more sense of a movie, which is why it's higher. And then Last Jedi feels so different, which is, we'll talk about that soon. But that's pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah, no, not good. And I do want to say, I do like the Luke scenes in a vacuum, but you can just tell the entire time they're writing that dialogue, they're like, oh, the fans are going to love this. We're going to talk about how bad episode 8 was. And it just rubbed me a little bit wrong.
But I do think it would have been worse if they made Luke the same character as Last Jedi.
Oh, yeah, that would have been. Well, because he went through character development. That would have been horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. As a ghost, as a shadow.
Yes.
Okay. At number 10, I have Attack of the Clones.
We're so locked in. Number 10 is Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones. My big problems. Anakin and Padme's romance is the worst that I've ever seen in fiction. It's the worst. I love many moments in every Star Wars film. Well, not many moments in Rise of Skywalker. I only like a few, but there are some moments. I really like Obi-Wan in this film. I really like Yoda. But as much as I don't say that Hayden Christensen is unfit to be Anakin, it's not his fault. George Lucas's script for this film was just not good.
Yeah.
Him and Padme's chemistry, of course, it's obviously known that they're good friends outside of the camera, but then it doesn't really show on the camera because Anakin says, "I wish I could just wish away my feelings." That's low key one of my favorite lines in all of Star Wars, for unironic reasons. And then the other big problem I have is that why is Count Dooku not introduced until the second half? I feel like that's just kind of strange. It just feels like. Because on first watch, I don't remember my first time watching Attack of the Clones because it was over 10 years ago. But upon first watch, I can imagine you're just going through the first half, and you're just thinking, so what are they trying to fight against? You think Attack of the Clones is like a mystery film. You get my drift on that. It's a mystery film that tries to, you know, combine with sci-fi, which is obviously possible, but then you're combining a mystery film with a rom-com.
Yeah.
Not even a com. Well, it's a com for worse reasons. It's a rom with unintentional com.
Yeah, and the worst part about the rom-com is that it's not related to the mystery at all. It's just completely separate on a vacation planet. Really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to have this movie above Phantom Menace, but now I do not. When I used to like this movie a lot more because of the Obi-Wan stuff specifically, and a lot of the Geonosis stuff. I wish they would have leaned a lot more into Dooku. I wish they would have shown his complexities a lot more because he is a very complex, but also very evil character. Don't get that messed up. Dooku is an evil, evil guy. But I wish we would have seen more of that. Just George Lucas, he has these amazing ideas, but just can't write a script. And you can tell. I mean, everything with the rom-com, as you call it, is awful. The composition of this movie is just not great. It's just like it feels like a student film when you're watching it. And
Yeah.
I mean, apart from the visuals, but it feels like a student film. And it's just not great. All the other films are just better.
It feels like an iMovie film that kids would make. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Attack of the Clones. At number 9, I have Phantom Menace. The reason why I have it higher than Attack of the Clones is because I like the peaks more.
Yes, we are so locked in.
I like Duel of the Fates. I really like the opening even though the opening, you can kind of get confused with the plot. They're just trying to solve a mystery behind a Sith Lord, which is pretty evident. My only sort of gripes is that my sort of gripes is that the plot, I honestly, I don't know if I'm willing to say that this plot is more confusing than Attack of the Clones, but it's on that level. Like, it's, to me, upon, watching Attack of the Clones, I've already known that it's pretty evident, because I wasn't alive to watch this movie on release, so I was not, super oblivious of, Palpatine being Darth Sidious or anything like that. But you can kind of infer that to be the case. And if you know that, I think the movie makes more sense because, it really coincides with him trying to get the role as Chancellor. But as much as I hate to say it, I don't coincide with the aftermath of any of this, but I just don't like child Anakin in this movie. I just don't. He just doesn't sit well with me. Jar Jar Binks, of course, it's goofy. The poop joke, Star Wars poop jokes. People that grew up with prequels, they don't mind it because they were kids at the time. But and I was too. But I really couldn't explain why I don't dislike this movie as much as I like Attack of the Clones. I just like the peaks a little better, but there's nothing super memorable outside of Duel of the Fates, in my opinion. I do think the pod race is also really cool, though. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, my number 9 is also Phantom Menace. Yeah, it's definitely a step. It's definitely a step up from Attack of the Clones, in my opinion. Duel of the Fates is amazing, but the editing is really weird in this film. Like, if you watch the film thinking about the editing, which I know is a weird thing to think about, but like, for example, Qui-Gon dies. He gets stabbed. And then it cuts to Anakin going, woohoo, yeah! He blows the thing up. And then the Gungans are like, oh, we surrender. It's woohoo! And then it cuts back and Obi-Wan's all mad. Oh, I'm going to get you, Maul. And it's like the tonal, like, flipping and like your emotions just got like completely thrown in the trash. It was very, very questionable editing in this film. Lucas should have had his ex-wife edit this one like he did with the originals, because those were gas. Okay, this movie, Qui-Gon is a good character. I think this movie could have been great if we saw an older Anakin, at least preteen. I would like more like 15, 16 age, where he has a little more attitude, a little bit more anger, and we get to see him build a relationship with Qui-Gon, and then that can hit a lot more when Qui-Gon dies and Anakin finds out. But they don't even really address that in the prequels. But I think there was definitely something to be done there. The peaks, the pod race is cool. The opening's cool. The ending is cool. But a lot of the middle of this film is not great. Like the whole Queen twist is not super great. It's kind of just confusing upon first watch. There's really like
I forgot to talk about that. Yeah, that's really
it's
weird.
Just dumb. It like there was no reason. They could have just not written that in. Like
they do the thing in Attack of the Clones too, but I just don't think it's as bad because
it's a more minor thing. Yeah,
it's. Well, not only that, but it feels like it's in a situation where they need to do it because Padme, they're trying to assassinate Padme.
Yeah.
So.
Also, I like the going back to Attack of the Clones. I like what there was some YouTuber that said this, but like Palpatine wants to kill Padme, so he sends Dooku, and Dooku sends Jango, and Jango sends
the Lego Star Wars video. Yeah,
who sends the droid? Who sends the little creatures, the little worms? Like, who's gonna kill her? That's so weird. Anyways, that's my 9.
Going down the line.
Yeah.
This is where I think we break off in opinion.
I think
at number 8, I have The Last Jedi.
We don't break an opinion. The Last Jedi is my number 8.
What the heck? So there are 3 films that I've rewatched over the past couple weeks to make sure this is set, because I've had this planned for a little while. I rewatched Last Jedi, I rewatched Force Awakens, and I rewatched Solo. Last Jedi, to me, I thought I liked it a lot more than I did in the past, or I thought I liked it more in the past, but upon rewatching it, I have come under the conclusion, if I were to describe this film in a statement, I think it is a bad film with good moments. I think it's what it is, and I think it's just that.
Agree.
And I think the reason why I put it over Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace is because the good moments are better acted and you feel them more than the unseriousness of the other films. It's basically what it is. My likes of this film, the forced telepathy between Rey and Kylo is my favorite part of this movie. I'm going to say that. A lot of people don't mind the Luke Skywalker stuff. I think it could have been done a little better, but I'm not going to just say it's just outright horrible. But of course, the scene where he tries to end Ben in his sleep, I think it's just the scene that kind of cracks the case for me. It's just like, if you structured that a little better, Rian Johnson, I think it could have been more sense in my head. If you made it to where he was actually pure evil and not betrayed by his master because he was a little, he overthought it. It could have been better, but that's the moment for me that kind of just broke it for me. Of course, obviously, he chooses to redeem it because Rey finds out the truth about that, but that's it. Snoke getting killed off. It's not great. It's not great in my opinion, because that means you would essentially, in the correct way, you would have essentially forced Kylo to be the primary big bad of The Rise of Skywalker, which ultimately they did not do because they decided to make another option that made not a whole lot of sense, because killing Snoke didn't make a whole lot of sense. But they did. They did not choose. Rian Johnson didn't choose to go over his backstory or anything. the whole plot of them just trying to fly in a straight line to avoid the First Order, I think that's just kind of stupid. I'm just gonna say it. It's not an interesting plot at all. In fact, it's probably a lesser interesting plot than the first two prequels. But I just think the peaks are just more interesting to watch than that. That's pretty much all.
Yeah,
I Leia flying across the sky, like what? There's no reason to do that. I mean, you could have just let her live. I mean, seeing the bridge connection between Ben and Leia, I thought was cool. Um, but then like forcing her to fly across the sky just to kill
yeah,
her, because Carrie Fisher, as unfortunate as it was, Carrie Fisher was already passed away before the Last Jedi. So like
yeah.
you could have just let her die in this film, but you didn't. Uh,
Literally. Yeah.
but that's pretty much it. There's too much to say about this film that sort of just makes me rambles on. That's why we're called the Ramblers. We just ramble on about Star Wars all the time. There's just too much to say that could change my opinion, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I mean, as you know, I was one of like a pretty big defender of this movie. It was never actually I think at one point it was in my five. But yeah, as I've gotten older, I definitely share your opinion where I mean we share a lot of opinions, but I share this opinion that there are great things in this movie, but then about 70% of it is god awful. Um Carrie Fisher was already dead. She had already passed during post production. They should have just let her go. They had this great scene where Kylo's conflicted and he actually doesn't do it, and she dies anyway. That would have been, better
That could
than what we
that could
had.
have been that could have been the start to his turn back to the light side, but it
Yep.
wasn't. Even after killing Snoke, it wasn't. And you
Yep.
know what? I didn't even mention this. The stupidest part of the film for me, why exactly do you go after this master codebreaker guy thinking that he would work with you? Like, why do you just assume this? Like, he's not gonna do anything for you, my brother. He in all assumptions, he's probably a selfish guy that wants to benefit himself. He's gambling on Canto Bite, god damn it. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't want to go against the First Order and ruin his reputation. That's the stupidest part. Of course, I've never heard a single person say anything great about Canto Bite. Um, I've seen other, podcast networks that think that Last Jedi is top 3. I think you are smoking an illegal drug if you think that. Um,
Escape podcast.
but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so I continuing. Luke, I think Luke is done okay in this film. Like every other part of this film, there are great things about it and there are not great things about it. The whole thing with him hesitating attacking Ben is just a bad motivation for Luke Skywalker. I think to really convince the audience that he had fallen, he had made a mistake, would be to make um Kylo a lot more extreme in his ways. And I'm not a writer, but I know that that wasn't the way to go. I think they could have fleshed that out a lot more, the conflict there. But the general idea, the general overarching theme, I like with a character that we see as all good, that has this sort of expectation from the whole galaxy to be perfect, and he's not, and he never has been. And he makes a mistake, which again, that mistake should have been a lot better than it was in the movie. And so he, shelters himself off and does the thing he does, and then he comes back. He finds his way again, and he takes on the entire First Order. Um, like he says he won it in the beginning of the film, but it turns out he actually doesn't. He was a ghost and does the most Jedi thing ever and doesn't actually fight, and then he just dies for some reason. But yeah, I thought it was. I used to think it was great. I think it's good, but I think it definitely lacks in a lot of areas. Finn, a character with boundless potential in the first movie, was thrown to the side. Rose, an unnecessary character. Poe does nothing. Yeah, it's
Rough, right?
it's a 70-30 type of movie. Is I like to see
Oh
it.
yeah, oh yeah. Admiral Holdo is also a contender for
Oh
the worst
God.
character in that
Oh
movie. By the
God.
way,
Yeah.
she was kind of just there to do the worst plans. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But that's
I
it.
could talk a lot longer, but that's enough for me.
Yeah. Okay. At number 7, I have Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Okay.
Um, you might have this. You probably have this a spot higher. I don't know if you do.
Yeah.
You
My
didn't.
my 7 is Force Awakens.
Solo: A Star Wars Story has really good parts. I think the story sort of makes sense. Um, the peaks. Alden Ehrenreich is such a great Han Solo, in my opinion. I think he really
Yeah.
carries this. I think he really carries this film. I really like Kira a lot too. Those are probably my top 2 favorite characters. I'm not that big of a fan of uh Donald Glover as Lando, mainly because he just doesn't feel like the same guy as Lando is.
So they wrote
And
him to be
as
droid sexual for some reason. That was really weird.
I'm not even going to talk about that because I don't know what the hell
Yeah.
that was. But
Yeah.
um, but the big thing about this film for me is that a bunch of it is just not very memorable. Uh, there are some great scenes. The Kessel Run is one of the most visually appealing scenes in all of Star Wars. I really liked it. Um, but yeah, Lando is not too. I don't think Lando's too great in this film. I don't like. Dryden Voss is a very forgettable villain to me. I don't like Beckett. I think Beckett is the worst character in this film by far because as I've said, I think I said this a couple episodes ago. He's just sort of this guy that expects everybody to listen to him. But then when he's proven wrong, he's like, "No, actually, I'm not wrong. You're wrong still, buddy." And then he gets killed for it. So like that's kind of why I don't like his character. I think it's a I think it's quite literally a waste of Woody Harrelson's talent.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, other than that, uh, Ben just messaged me. He says he wants to play BF6 in 30 minutes. I gotta tell him I'm recording. Uh,
Yes,
but
sir.
other than that, it's like nothing super memorable. It's really carried by Han and Kira, in my opinion. I think what this movie could have done better is they could have explained Kira's bridge from being captured to being saved by Crimson Dawn a little better, because it just like you have this little time skip where they do the heist fails, and then we meet Kira again, and then she like why is she this just completely different person? I mean, I get it. Like Dryden literally pretty much saved her life. So that's kind of like the motive. But I kind of wish that they could have shown that a little more. But with that being said, like that's outside of that. I just don't think the bad moments measure up to the ones below, to the bad moments that are the films that are below it. That's basically it.
Yeah. For me, every movie from here onward is serviceable, at least, if not decent. Um, my what number? I don't know what number we're on, but the
Number
one that
set
we're on
number
now,
7.
7, is episode 7, Force Awakens, and I will talk about
Yeah.
Solo very shortly.
I have Force
Um,
Awakens at 6, so we
yeah,
just
so
kind of flip flopped them.
we flipped them. So I'll talk about Solo next, but I'll talk about Force Awakens now. Force Awakens is um, a film that does everything it does well, but it doesn't do a lot. I hate using this argument different, because I don't think it's necessarily bad because, well, it's not bad. It's good. I don't think it's necessarily at fault because it's so similar, but it definitely doesn't help. I think this film is dragged down by the other two, and it sets up a lot of character that kind of goes nowhere, and therefore this film doesn't really get to see the light of day a lot.
I will say I'll talk to you about some moments that I really like. I really like Finn in The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
I think he's a really good character. I like I will say this: I don't like Rey in this film as much as I like her in The Last Jedi. I think because she's just kind of her development in Force Awakens specifically kind of feels really dull because she goes from this character that does not want to do anything with Resistance or First Order. Then she gets captured, and then all of a sudden her mind just kind of changes a little bit after
Yeah.
she's forced to escape and fight Kylo Ren, and then she's like, you know what? Suddenly this is not so bad. I'm gonna go find Luke Skywalker. I felt like that could have been fleshed out a little more, but I do
Yeah.
really like Finn. I do really like Poe in this film. That's why I'm really disappointed because they did him so bad in the next film after
Yeah.
to just boost up Rey. When I do think they could have boosted all three of the characters, but you know, there's nothing we can do about that now. Uh, of course, nobody liked the cliffhanger back then, but now the cliffhanger, it's sort of ruined at this point. But I think the cliffhanger is really cool as long as you don't see the next film.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I really like Leia. I don't think Han is super memorable in this film. I won't lie, because he kind of just goes from, I'll help the Resistance, why not? And then he just suddenly, like, he sees Ben, and then he triggered, which I get it. I kind of like it, but I feel like it could have been fleshed out a little more, because he just sort of gets, he sort of just gets instructed by Leia, like, bring our son home, and then, he commits to it. His scene with Kylo on the bridge is probably like in my top 3 favorite scenes in the film. As that it's definitely that. It's Finn and Poe escaping the starfighter, or the Star Destroyer. I really like that scene, and then I also really like I really like the lightsaber fight, but not a lot of people think it's entertaining. But it's two characters that don't have much experience in lightsaber fighting. Like, Snoke does not teach Kylo how to fight with the lightsaber, so you kind of just have to keep that in terms. But yeah, I feel like this film to me is just slightly more consistent than Solo. I'll say that.
Yeah. So, yeah, as I was saying, I what I was about to say is Poe, love Finn. I think their actors just have so much chemistry. All the actors in this film have so much chemistry together, and they're great actors. But then in the future films, they're not really used, as you said. They bring them down to try to boost Rey, which ends up just hurting the film. Um, I mean, Starkiller Base was kind of a dumb idea, where like, oh, we're just Death Star 3, but like even bigger. Um, but yeah, it's a very consistently good film in that sense, is what I'll give it. It does everything right. It has characters that go through arcs, um, and it makes you feel things. I mean, that Han moment was great. What I will say is it is a little bit of a robbery that we never saw the trio together. It's a little weird.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
I don't. I mean, I get that they
They
wanted to
don't.
kill Han here.
They don't. All three of them don't meet together until the very end of The Last Jedi, which I don't really think. I think it should have been the end of Force Awakens, but that's kind of
Yeah.
just me.
Well, that too. The sequel trilogy trio. I'm talking about the original trilogy trio too. Han dies in Force Awakens, which I think would be okay if they did Kylo's arc a lot better in the next 2 films. But we never get to see Han, Leia, and Luke together for the trilogy, which is weird when
I
they're
don't.
all alive at the same time.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that part too much, because I feel like what I would have done for Luke in The Last Jedi is, I would, when he finds out that Ben kills Han, I think it could have been great if he used that as a motive to fight back, but he just doesn't. So
Yeah,
it's
we
kind of
don't
like
even get to
whatever.
see his reaction to Han's
Yeah.
death. It's like, what? Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's all I have to say about Force Awakens. Yeah, and that's your next one. My next one is Solo. So number 6. You can talk a little bit more about Force Awakens if you'd like
No,
beforehand.
I think I said quite a
Um,
bit. I
yeah.
think I'm
So
fine with it.
Solo. I definitely, I think I like this film just a little bit more than you. This film used to be higher for me, but now it's kind of dropped. Um, yeah, Alden Ehrenreich is a great cast for Han Solo. He plays a young Han very well. And I think if he had a fuller arc into like the Solo we see in A New Hope, I think he would have been gone down as like one of the best performances in the movies. Um, Chewie's good. I almost kind of wish Chewie got more of this movie because he doesn't get anything in the two trilogies he's in. But that being said, he's a character that we cannot understand their language, so there's not a lot you can do with that. A lot of the supporting cast is just weak. Beckett, the monkey guy, Beckett's girlfriend. I like Kira. Lando is just kind of weird. But this movie is really fun. This movie is a great fun time. The stuff with Kessel and then the Kessel run was really cool. Seeing Maul is great. I just sort of like this one a little bit more than Force Awakens, just due to its overall like I guess originality and fun factor, I guess, is what I'd put it at. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
all I have to say for Solo. It's not extraordinary, but
You
I think
said
these.
you
Go
said
ahead.
you said something about Chewie that recalled back to the beginning of the list with Rise of Skywalker. Another thing I forgot to mention, that cliffhanger, that sort of intense moment of when Rey thinks she killed Chewie, only for him to be alive and well like 5 minutes later, is really stupid.
They were
But
just
yeah,
so scared. I think that would have been so ballsy if they actually killed Chewie there. Like, because you want Chewie to go out with this giant warrior's death, right? Like taking down 100 stormtroopers, but then he dies to Rey's hands due to her
yeah.
dark side intentions.
Well,
That would have been
no,
crazy.
I think the stupid part is that they had that such an emotional moment, and then Chewie's just alive like 5 minutes
Yeah,
later. I think
they
that's
just
the I
cut.
think that's the bad part.
It just cut to the door opening, and he's just in
No,
handcuffs walking through.
no, guys. He just happened to be on the other ship. It's okay.
Yeah, he was in the other one.
um,
Yeah,
so we're in the top five now. These next five are five that I think are really good. They're at
yeah.
least really good movies. If you were to turn them on in my living room at any point, I can watch them like all
They
the
can go
time.
in any order too, in my opinion. Any of these five could be your 1, 2, 3, or 5.
Yeah. At number five, I have Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
Revenge of the Sith to me, it's because a separate film has been elevated to an extent, and I will talk about that later. Revenge of the Sith, I think, is a great film. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Uh, but there are only a few moments that I don't like. Number one, Order 66 is not explained enough. Obviously, they had to use a 7 season animated show to explain that. Like, why exactly.
And explained it in 4 episodes.
What I don't like about the prequels is that they sort of just make the clone troopers seem exactly like storm. They make the clone troopers seem exactly like stormtroopers, except they just happen to be, clones of Jango Fett. Clone Wars, obviously, the best part of the Clone Wars is that they humanize the clones, which is, it's amazing in that sense. It sort of Clone Wars obviously elevates the prequels in that way, which makes Order 66 make more sense at this time. But at the time, it's just like, Darth Sidious, it says execute Order 66. What could that possibly mean? Oh, and then they just kill all the Jedi. At that time, it didn't make sense. It obviously makes sense now that the lore is expanded. But then I've seen opinions of like, oh, Anakin's turn is like so rushed, but at the same time, like, it's literally started in Attack of the Clones, so I don't really get what that's supposed to mean. Um, Anakin and Padme's romance is done better in this film. It's still not tremendous, but the the only scene, of course, that we don't like is the balcony scene. So Love Has Blinded You. That scene is still very hysterical, but the one there's a couple other scenes where he's very conflicted on what the Jedi is, and then of what the Jedi are trying to make him do, and like Padme is trying to support him in that. I think those scenes are really good. I really like Palpatine in this film. The his motives definitely make sense. Obi-Wan is, of course, really good. There is, of course, There are, of course, a couple dialogue stints in this film that I'm not a huge fan of. I don't necessarily like hate them, but it's just like from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. You know, like what kind of like what is that? Like you know,
Yeah.
but the peaks of this film are really good. I really like Utapau. It's one of my favorite sequences in all of Star Wars. I really like, you know, the Anakin and Obi-Wan fight in Mustafar. The best scene of the film by far is when Anakin is being burned alive and Obi-Wan's getting like emotional. You are the chosen one. It's the best scene of the film for sure. Um, but you know, other ones that I'm sort of kind of just passing up on, like the opening. I think it probably, you could say it has the best opening of any Star Wars film, and I wouldn't complain. Like it's really fun. It's really good. Um, what I really like is that some of the this this doesn't have anything to do with the film itself, but some of the deleted scenes of this film are so historically bad that I'm so
They
glad
saved
that
the
they're
movie.
out.
They saved the movie.
Yeah, if some of those were in the movie, they would go a couple spots lower in the list.
Like
Like
rubbing their
the elevator scene where he goes, I think he means beep brew is down. Oh no, sorry, beep brew is up. Like what is that?
yeah.
Um, but
The
I
one
think
where they're rubbing their faces when they're in the freaking trap, the like thing's so bad.
but yeah,
Oh, it's
but
so
yeah,
bad.
Anakin has done so much better in this film than Attack of the Clones. Obi-Wan, I think I think Obi Wan's really good in Attack of the Clones, and in Revenge of the Sith though he is great. He is really good. All the side characters are good. There's not a single besides the balcony scene. There's not a single scene in this movie that I don't think is like not needed. That is unneeded. I think everything fits really well. Um, yeah, that's all. That's all I have to say before rambling too much.
Yeah,
But
I will ramble about this movie next. But I think we have our 4 and 5s flopped here. Just like our 6 and 7s. What? Um, my 5 is Rogue One. Um, and it I debated 4 or 5, but I caved. I put it at 5. Um, this movie is severely elevated by Andor. It's still great. I think it still would be my 5 if Andor did not exist, but Andor just makes it that bit better. I think this movie kind of struggles in the middle a little bit. Like I still enjoy it, but I feel like a lot of the characters don't really experience a lot of development through the middle, specifically like Baze and Chirrut and the pilot guy. Um,
Baze and Bodhi are the ones that I
yeah,
just don't feel
Bodhi.
like they have much to do. They have good moments, but they don't have great development.
Yeah, that's sort of
Uh,
my thing in the middle, but I can't really knock this movie for that. It's kind of hard to criticize that because the movie's great. The first and third acts are so great. Um, Jin is great here. Cassian is great here, and I didn't realize how great Cassian was here until we get his show. Um, yeah, seeing Vader is awesome. Everything that happened on Scarif was just so cinematic and so epic. And the fact that it leads just right up to A New Hope is like that's just the chef's kiss. This is a great film, great pacing, great music, great sound design. Yeah, I mean, I could talk more about this film, but I'll let you talk next because you're going to talk about Rogue One. So
yeah.
let's hear it.
Number one, this deserves to be mentioned. This is by far the funniest Star Wars film because of
Yeah,
K2SO.
yeah,
You know, comedy, co- humor is not really something that Star Wars has ever excelled in, obviously, but Rogue One, they definitely do take an effort, and it pays off for
and another
sure.
one if you mouth off again.
Yeah. Did you know that wasn't me? Yeah. Uh, I will say, upon rewatching this, I rewatched it like a couple weeks ago, I think. Um, we often talk about how good Andor has with dialogue. Rogue One has some great dialogue too. Like there are some scenes that specifically the one I'm thinking of is when Rogue One escapes from Edu, and Galen Urso's dead from the explosion, and Jin and Cassian have this conflicting moment, and Cassian goes, "We don't have the luxury to care about when and where we want to care about something." I think the you could say this is the best acted Star Wars movie. I think.
Yeah,
I
I'd
think.
probably
I think
agree.
you could. I think you could probably comfortably say that. Um, but then just the thing that sort of just brings me down with Rogue One is that not all of the members of Rogue One are elevated to the highest degree. Of course, Jin and Cassian are the center of it. K2 is obviously the side character, but he's a droid. He's a clanker, so he
No, he's
doesn't.
not.
No, he's not.
He's a clanker.
I think, but I think Chirrut is elevated quite a bit. He's a very interesting. He might be the most interesting character because he's a Force user that's not a Jedi. Before Rogue One, you didn't really see anybody like that. So I thought that was really cool. Baze and Bodhi, I think, are the only ones that you can consider like deliberate side characters in this movie.
Yeah.
Even though Chirrut's like an elevated side character. Um, a sort of negative that people put against this movie is that they think it's boring. I sort of disagree because I like films that are driven based off great dialogue and great acting rather than constant action all the time. But it's pretty good. I think it's also some people also don't think it's a movie that's needed. I heavily disagree because because literally the beginning of New Hope, a band of rebel spies capture the Death Star plans. Don't you wonder how that happened? Like, do you just wonder how that? That's sort of just my gist of it. But
yeah, dude,
I think it's great.
Yeah, seeing you talk about that, dude, you're gonna love Better Call Saul, bro. Oh my god, you're gonna love it. Okay, number 4 for me is Revenge of the Sith. You talked about this earlier. I just have it higher just because of personal preference, and that's also gonna go for the 3 original movies. For me, just which ones I like more because they're all excellent. And I just like this a little bit better than Rogue One because of the emotional peaks. But at the end of the day, it is still a prequel. It still has that corny dialogue. But there are scenes of absolute greatness in this. The opening is great. Actually, I won't even say scenes of greatness. Like you said earlier, like every scene is necessary. Even the balcony scene, if it's not done well, it was a scene we needed because if we didn't have that, we wouldn't really see a lot of Anakin and Padme together in this movie. Of course, I love the end. I love the final act and how it's the two sides, Yoda and Palpatine, and then Obi-Wan and Anakin, each fighting for the freedom of the galaxy, and Obi-Wan wins, I guess, and Yoda loses, and I just thought it's really really fun, but also really heartbreaking. Obviously, like it's so emotional. Obi-Wan's lines after Anakin's burning it, probably one of the best scenes. Like it's probably top 3 scenes in the original 6.
Keep going.
Yeah, I think this movie's great.
I think this movie's great.
It's still a prequel. I hear myself getting mirrored through his headphones. Yeah, I don't know how much more I could say about this. You kind of hit everything that I think about this. The characters are great. Obi-Wan's great. Oh, Grievous could have been done a lot better. That fight with Grievous and Obi-Wan was so quick. Like he just cuts off like a hand like every 2 seconds, and then that's kind of it. But it's not the important part of this film. So this great movie. I don't think anybody's arguing that. But the top 3 is kind of definitive. So let's get into our 3.
Yeah. So I have sort of a caveat with my top 3. I actually have my 2 and 3 tied. So I'm just gonna say tied for number 2. I have A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, and then at number 1 I have Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
I think that the worst Star Wars opinion you can have right now is to say that Return of the Jedi is far worse than the other two originals. I
Yeah,
think
it's
that is
not
the
true.
worst Star Wars opinion I think I've ever. Well, actually, no, the worst Star Wars opinion I've ever heard from somebody is something I'll say later. But one of the worst opinions you can have on the movies, if you do not have Return of the Jedi in top four, that is invalid. That is just
Yeah,
not a valid
yeah,
complaint. So big argument is that Ewoks are able to beat stormtroopers. Uh, Riddle me this: how were the revolutionaries able to beat the redcoats in the 18th century?
that's exactly what I was going to talk
How
about. Yeah,
I'll just say this because how were the Chinese able to beat Japan back 1,000 years ago when they were invaded?
the Viet Cong.
It's all about guerrilla. It really is. And that's basically kind of what Star Wars was driven off of, a rebellion against. You can compare it to literally anything in real time. And by the way, they often talk about, it's the 501st, the entire legion of their best troops. They're still stormtroopers. Stormtroopers are not impressive, guys. It has been constantly shown throughout original trilogy, throughout not necessarily Andor, but throughout Rogue One, throughout Rebels, throughout The Mandalorian. They are not impressive soldiers. The Empire's whole thing is that they sacrifice a good experience with the low pricing of recruiting rather than cloning. We saw this in The Bad Batch. We saw the entire process. We know that they are not good soldiers. They are all equal the same because in the Empire, everybody's the same except for Emperor Palpatine. That is the gist. What carries this film for me is that I think Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi is the best protagonist that we have ever seen in Star Wars, and he is my favorite. He is in this movie. He's my favorite protagonist that I've ever seen. Of course, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen everything in the world, but that's just kind of what my view is. Uh, Everybody also criticizes the first act on Tatooine against Jabba, but in my view, I treat that as a checkpoint to show how strong Luke is. Uh, the only thing that's kind of goofy is that you know I think they could have done the Rancor fight differently rather than just sticking a bone in his mouth and running to the other side. I think Luke's power could have been shown a little more there, but I'm not. It's a small scene, so I'm not going to critique it too much. That's probably what drags this movie from a 10 down to like a 9.5 is that little thing. But that's pretty much it. Oh, and they also criticize the reveal of Luke and Leia being siblings, when it is clearly foreshadowed in The Empire Strikes Back with the with old Ben saying that boy is our last hope. No, there is another. And then at the end, Leia, hear me. Oh gosh, did Leia just randomly hear that across the planet? No, she heard that from the Force. That's why, people. Um, but yeah, my favorite scene, I don't think I've told you this. My favorite scene of Return of the Jedi is Luke and Vader on the catwalk on Andor. Because that is the most I think that's the scene that with the most tension in probably the entire original trilogy outside of when Luke and Vader see each other for the first time on Bespin. It's a contender for sure. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything between Luke and Palpatine is done perfectly, I think. And yeah, that's all I have. I just want to focus. I just wanted to focus on what people call negatives because as of recently, I've seen people throw strays at this movie a little too much, and I gotta pipe it down a little bit, bud. Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So my top three
it is.
are 6, 5, 4 personally, but they can literally go any order, and it's completely valid. For Return of the Jedi, this movie, I think when I was younger, well, I went from really liking this movie to being in my 4 or 5, and then now it's my third. And I just Luke is so good in this movie. It you've seen how far he's grown from the farm boy and A New Hope, and how confident he is in himself and what he believes, and in his father, and their dynamic, Vader and Luke, is amazing. I don't have any problem with the Ewoks personally, because of what you said. Like, it's Viet Cong and America. Did America win, or did we pull out? Exactly. Um, don't have a problem with Ewoks. Don't really have a problem with Endor. Um, I used to not really like Han in this movie, but I've grown to be perfectly fine with it. He's not going to be the same after, being frozen alive for about a year. Um, or what?
I
Yeah,
I do I do think Han like knocking Boba down to the Sarlacc pit because he's
that
blind.
is dumb.
I think that's a little goofy, but I don't really care too much because Boba Fett's not a big character in the original trilogy
Yeah,
anyway, so it's
yeah.
just kind of
That's only dumb with foresight, since he's like, oh, one of the best Star Wars characters now. But back then, a lot of people liked him because he looked cool, but he didn't really have any like feats. He's kind of just a guy, so it didn't really matter. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, Han. A lot of people like to say that Han is like sort of an idiot in this film, and he doesn't really do anything. But I kind of just don't see that. He's grown, he's matured, he's become less of an angry person, and more of a caring person. Um, and like, you see that in how he accepts that, like Leia, wants to be with Luke, which obviously was very wrong. Um, and we see that. But yeah, I mean, seeing the Emperor in person for the first time is awesome. Seeing that feat of the Force, that we've never seen the Force used in that way, other than like telekinesis, and it just establishes how strong Palpatine is. Um, and seeing the conflict with Vader is amazing. Um, yeah, I mean, um, that's most of my thoughts on Return of the Jedi. I just think Luke and Vader's dynamic is so good, and Luke's character. My favorite scene from this movie is like the last like 3 minutes of the film, when Luke is burning Vader's body, and then they all go and they're all celebrating, and it's the music, bro. It's the special edition music. One of the few special edition changes that I like is they changed it from like the Ewok music to like this super epic like Star Wars celebration music. It's Victory Celebration is the name of the song. And
Yeah.
then we see the three men that like brought Luke to who he is today, as Force Ghosts watching over him, and then they're all celebrating, and then it cuts to black, and yeah, just amazing. Such a perfect way to end the trilogy.
Yeah, and then bridging the rest of the originals, tied with Return of the Jedi, I have A New Hope, and then I have Empire Strikes Back at one. Mainly, the big reason why I put Empire Strikes Back at number one is because I think it's just slightly more entertaining. That's all it is for me. I think A New Hope. The plot of A New Hope is probably the best of any Star Wars project ever. I mean, the plot makes no sense. It's the origin, of course. People like doing the origin. People like saying that being the origin elevates it. I'm not necessarily one of those guys, but for Star Wars, I can make an exception. Uh, A New Hope probably has the best dialogue. Empire Strikes Back has the peaks, and then for me, Return of the Jedi has the characters.
Yeah,
Even though the same characters, I think the character-driven moments, are great because Return of the Jedi, they redeem Lando by letting him take the lead and blowing up the second Death Star. I think that's fantastic. Um, the big thing for me in Empire Strikes Back is using the more side characters, Han and Leia, as a bridge to try to trap Luke into the dark side, and then ultimately it fails because of Luke's persistence. Even though of course, the "I am your father" mention, it's not something that you're ever going to criticize. It's the best plot twist in the history of cinema.
yeah,
Um, but that's pretty much it. A New Hope, essentially, to me, there there's only one part in A New Hope that I think drags, and it's when R2 and 3PO get on Tatooine and you just see them walk for like 5 minutes. I think that's just kind of the thing that drags it for me. But that's the only thing that like brings it down like half a point for me, pretty much. It's a 9.5 out of 10 with ease. So um, that's pretty much it. That's like
Yeah.
the originals for me are so close together that I just spend like a few minutes like distinguishing what I like rather than what I don't like.
Yeah, exactly. The originals are the undisputed top three, and they can go in any order you want. For me, A New Hope is my favorite. And I honestly can't really tell you why. I just like it the most. Um, I um, I just think it's so masterful. If you take away all the special edition additions, like it's a perfect movie. And it's paced very well. The story is very good. I mean, it's pretty basic. You go save the princess from the castle. Everyone has used that critique in their life, but I like it. Um, I like seeing Kenobi in this. We don't get a lot of him in the other two. Um, yeah, all the characters are done justice in this film. The tension in this film is great, especially in the final act with the Death Star attack. Um, it's just a masterclass in my opinion in just filmmaking. And my two is Empire Strikes Back, but that could be. I mean, I got my poster over there. You can't see it because of the glare, but Empire Strikes Back has the highest peaks. I Am Your Father is fantastic. Getting Luke's development. A New Hope is my favorite, but Luke is definitely the weakest in A New Hope. He doesn't do a whole lot besides, only blow up the Death Star. But Empire Strikes Back, I think they develop Luke a lot. Seeing Yoda is great. I mean, I could talk about Empire Strikes Back for longer, but I think you guys all know why that film's amazing. So I think I'll let it rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to recap, going from top to bottom, I will go first. At number 1, I have The Empire Strikes Back. At numbers 2 and 3, I have A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. At number 4, I have Rogue One. 5, I have Revenge of the Sith. 6, I have The Force Awakens. 7, I have Solo, A Star Wars Story. 8, I have The Last Jedi. 9, I have The Phantom Menace. 10, I have Attack of the Clones. And 11, I have The Rise of Skywalker.
All right. Mine, number 1 is A New Hope. Number 2 is Empire Strikes Back. Number 3, Return of the Jedi. Number 4, Revenge of the Sith. Number 5, Rogue One. Number 6, Solo. Number 7, The Force Awakens. Number 8, The Last Jedi. Number 9, The Phantom Menace. Number 10, The Attack of the Clones. And number 11, The Rise of Skywalker.
Yep. That is it for our rankings. And we are approaching 2 hours. That is wild.
This is one of our longest. Yeah.
That was a beefy episode, but I had a lot of fun.
This is fun.
I will get busy posting some good content from this. But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.